Hi and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you haven't been here before, hi, my name's Amanda Howard. I'm a criminologist by education and training, and I spend a lot of my spare time dealing with serial killers. This is actually mostly for the podcast subscribers to Monsters Who Murder, which is the podcast I co-host. And this is just to further some of the body analysis that we've actually done on the podcast and in the Facebook groups that are related to the podcast. So anyway, I have been promising to do a Jodi Arias episode for quite some time. As you can see, I don't have my cool, interesting stuff behind me that I usually have, and we've got actually a light that's slightly in shot. We are actually setting up for our new TV part of our podcast. But it's just sort of not working right. As you can see, my lighting's not great and things like that. We are getting there, and I'm taking much guidance from my co-host Robert McKnight. But anyway, enough about me and what you're seeing and everything. Unfortunately, there's no sort of serial killers and stuff behind me like I usually have. But I shall open up and share my screen, and we'll actually go through some bits and pieces on Jodi Arias. So we're actually going to use a YouTube video that is called Jodi Arias Trials Best Moments, which was created by Daily Wicked. This is a pretty good way to do it. I've actually subscribed to their channel, so I hope that you do too. But I'm just going to go through some of this to start off with to see how we discussed Jodi Arias. We actually did a mini series of about 5 episodes on the podcast. So if you're interested in that, we break apart her police confession and interrogation. So that was really quite interesting, and everyone has asked for me to do a deep dive further on her trial moment. So let's actually open up my screen and I'll share what I'm seeing, and between the two of us or however many are watching this, we will actually go through some moments piece at a time. So bear with me while I connect, and I'll be back in a moment. So here we go. We're just starting partway through. The first part was about someone else being interrogated. I haven't actually watched this, so this will be new for me too. It's pretty high res, which a lot of her trial was, whereas her interrogation wasn't. So I'm going into this raw. So I might jump ahead and jump back and go to some other clips, but we will start here and see what we've got.
I don't remember.
How about when you cut his throat? Were you crying then?
I don't know.
So we're going to start here with her crying. Now, those that listen to the podcast Monsters Who Murder know that this is one of the first things I've taught you guys what to do, and that is to watch for tears. Now, some people will cry without tears, yes, but most of the time it's fake tears. And it's about the dry face. Now, when you cry, remember you get a runny nose, your eyes well up, your face reddens. There's a lot of emotions. When you're looking at body language, you don't just look at one piece at a time. You look at all various sections in one go. So with a crying, you're looking for the reddened face, you're looking for the runny nose, and you're looking for the tears. Those that are fake crying often rub their eyes because they know that that's one way to make tears appear. So let's see how she goes. As I said, I haven't watched this, but we're about to hopefully see what we've seen Jodi do on the podcast.
Ma'am, were you crying when you were shooting him?
I don't remember.
Were you crying when you were stabbing him?
Rubbing for her eyes.
I don't remember.
How about when you cut his throat? Were you crying then?
I don't know.
Okay, there is a bit of runny nose there, but
So take a look.
It's bigger than the cell that I live in.
It's bigger than what?
It's bigger than the cell that I live in. It's not a small closet.
Ma'am, we don't want to know where you live in. Do you understand that?
bad there. So let's go back.
Bigger than. This is a very small closet, isn't it?
No, it's bigger than the cell that I live in.
It's bigger than what?
It's bigger than the cell that I live in. It's not a small closet.
She's very well spoken, and this is actually very different to how she was in her interrogation, where she was quite flighty and bounced around and everything. She's far more subdued now, and we've actually gone from the blonde bombshell and the girl that was doing headstands during her interrogation to someone who's now got a geeky hairstyle, and I can say that because I'm a geek. Where they clip to sort of hold it back thick against her face. Gone are the colours and the highlights and everything. Gone are the fanciful clothes. So this is very much a court 101 of this is how you dress to portray being a victim, not a killer.
Ma'am, we don't want to know where you live in. Do you understand that?
I'm just using that as reference. It's
Ma'am,
not small.
do you understand? Did I ask you where you were living?
No.
We're clear, right? We do not want to know where you're living right now. You understand that?
Okay, sorry.
No need to be. Take that attitude that... Is there an issue with you with answering the questions as they're posed?
Sometimes, but I'm trying to answer them the best I can.
So
Okay, so she's really being combative here. This is actually quite interesting, and he's getting quite frustrated, and he's trying to push her buttons to make her go a different way. But as you can see, she's trying to play the submissive role. So she's not looking at him; she's looking down and away. Let's go back to a picture of her. So, yeah, so she's not actually looking at him, because if she was, she'd be looking closer to camera, as we saw in the previous shot. But her face is so expressionless. And she's being combative. She is trying to be submissive, as I said. But this is her sort of being really passive aggressive, basically. Let's continue.
Sometimes, but I'm trying to answer them the best I can.
So is it an attitude issue with you then?
Objection, argumentative, Your Honor.
This next video that I'm going to play is from Inside Edition. It's really great to try and get these media interviews. Of course, they're going to edit them to give the most sensational impact. But let's see what else we can actually get from this, because we know that she's going to be performing during this one. So it's going to be interesting to see how she performs and how they manipulate their editing to make her look the way that they want her to fit the narrative, which is of an evil psycho stalker sort of woman. So let's see what we get.
Did you kill Travis Alexander?
I absolutely did not kill Travis Alexander. I had nothing to do with his murder. I didn't harm him in any way.
I met Jodi Arias.
Okay, did you all see it? I've told you about this one before. This is about body cues belying what the words are actually saying. So she says no. Watch what her head does. Okay, let's see this again.
Palm print in his blood.
Did you kill Travis Alexander?
I absolutely did not kill Travis Alexander. I had nothing to do with his murder. I did.
See all that nodding? Let's have a look one more time. I love stuff like this. This is my favorite thing.
Alexander.
I absolutely did not kill Travis Alexander. I had nothing to do with his murder. I didn't harm him in any way.
I met Jodi Arias for...
And her face is so expressionless, though. It's really blank, and women are actually taught to do this kind of thing when they are in prison and they go in front of the media and stuff, and they're told to not show expression because they don't want someone to sort of use it as, well, something like I'm doing right now. But it often actually works against them, because then they're described as cold and heartless because they have these blank expressions. But it's really a tactic that they use to sort of not allow anyone to get sort of an inkling of how they're actually feeling. But as I said, it sort of has the opposite effect, that they're accused of being cold and calculating. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not, though.
Day of the murder.
I witnessed Travis being attacked by 2 other individuals.
Who?
I don't know who they were.
Now, in a previous piece, if it makes it into this video, she was actually talking about being attacked by him. So as we see, she does switch and change her confession around for it to be that she was abused, to then being the attacker, to being attacked by other people that come into the house and she was there. This story continues to evolve, and when that happens, you know that eventually the truth may come out, but it may not, because they will continue to spin the story, that they get to a point that they can't even remember what the story is, because they've created their own false narratives in their own thought process.
I couldn't pick them out in a police lineup.
So what happened?
They came into his home and attacked us both.
You understand?
Okay, this is really tough. She's really battered down. She's not displaying much emotion at all. This is carefully constructed and calculated to make it more vague. It's quite interesting. I will continue to try and pick pieces out of this, but I think I'm going to end up doing the interrogation, because that was far more telling than this is.
Stand
All of the evidence against me.
guilty here.
I understand that all of the evidence against me right now is very compelling.
Okay, just then she mirrored the same movements that the reporter did. So just watch his hands and then watch her hands. And this is when you sort of mimic the movements of someone else, like they touch their hair and you touch their hair. That is a kind of process to sort of create a connection with someone for you to say, I'm thinking the same way that you are. We're the same sort of person. So it's about building that connection. So just watch his hands and then watch hers.
I understand that everything
And
to be slaughtered at the hands of two other people. I'm not proud of that at all.
you understand, you look guilty here.
I understand that everything, all of the evidence against me right now is very compelling.
What really happened in there?
In a nutshell, two people took Travis's life, two monsters.
You did not shoot Travis.
No, I've never even shot a real gun.
You did not stab.
Never really shot a real gun. That's an interesting term to use. It's sort of trying to split hairs. What was she going to ask him? Well, then what sort of was he going to ask her? Then what sort of gun have you shot? It's a really odd way to answer. But as you can see, she's actually been quite softly spoken, but she's really, really subdued.
Stab him 27 times.
That's heinous.
Or
I've never.
slit his throat from ear to ear.
I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat.
Jodi Arias.
Okay, just go.
Compelling.
We'll just go back over this as well. Just watch her blinking. When she says the words that aren't truthful, she's actually closing her eyes. And also she is making sure that she maintains such strong eye contact with the journalists other than these slow blinks. So she's actually trying to gauge how he's responding to her responses.
What really happened in there?
In a nutshell, two people took Travis's life, two monsters.
You did not shoot Travis.
No, I've never even
Nice.
shot a real gun.
You did not stab him 27 times.
That's heinous.
Or
I've never.
slit his throat from ear to ear.
I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat.
Jodi Arias.
Something else there. I can't imagine anyone slitting the throat. Whatever that was, it wasn't a no, I didn't do it. It was I can't imagine. That is a circular response that doesn't answer the question. So let's listen to that again.
I've never even shot a real gun.
You did not stab him 27 times.
That's heinous.
Or
I've never.
slit his throat from ear to ear.
I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat.
I can't imagine slitting anyone's throat. That isn't no, I didn't slit his throat. So it's about these small nuances, and it's about picking up the whole the whole package. So it's easy to sort of look at these things in hindsight, of course, but we also have to look at each piece and how they all fit together to show the truthfulness in what she says and the lies in what she says. So because some people can tell part truths and part lies. So when people are interrogated, this is why they actually record them, so then they can go over them several times. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen, and sometimes the quality of interrogations is quite appalling, but it is interesting to see how these sometimes play out. So let's continue with this one.
No jury is going to convict me
Why not?
because I'm innocent, and you can mark my words on that one. No jury will convict me.
I am very sorry for the enormous pain that I've caused the people that love Travis.
At her sentencing Monday, Jodi Arias apologized to the grieving family of Travis Alexander.
Okay, so instantly we have this juxtaposition of her saying that no one is going to convict her, and then instantly we go straight to her sentencing for being found guilty. That was a bit of a cheesy move from the TV producers, but I mean, that's what they love to do, and that's what I kind of expected it to happen. But let's see where we go from here. So now I knew I would do this. I would end up going through the interrogation tapes. I prefer interrogation tapes. I think we see people at their best and their worst in an interrogation. In other words, there's a need of self-preservation as well as there is a need to get to the truth. So it sort of is a balancing act, and this is why we use a lot of interrogations on the podcast. So this is the first tape, as you can probably see on screen. This goes for 2.5 hours. We're only just going to do some very small snippets of it. Otherwise, this would end up being a 4-hour video. So as you can see, we're in the room with Jodi. We should be going over the scenarios, should be going over what is going to come, what's going to occur, and how she can answer those questions that she thinks are going to be quite curly, but we will see. So yeah, so she's moved onto the floor. This is about comfort, trying to get comfortable with the handcuffs behind her head. But yeah, I mean, still, we've got to have the hair flex, we've got to have the comfort. We can see that she's a fidgeter. So she's actually gone from sitting so still that she was barely moving to fidgeting to, I don't know if it's to get comfortable or if she's just sort of playing the game to sort of look however she wants. She's probably unaware that she's on camera yet. So what she does here is basically her own time. She is quite flexible, and we'll see that probably in other parts of the video, but she's got a long couple of hours ahead of her on this tape, but we will skip forward because we're not going to go through 3 hours of tape. I have to say, I'm a much bigger girl than she is, and I don't think I could sit with handcuffs on. My shoulders and my arms would actually be screaming. So she's actually quite thin, so that goes for her, but there's still more of a hindrance. And just sort of, I think it's there's part of the waiting game is also about just letting them stew a bit, let those nerves sort of come up and create a bit of a panic in them, because if you start to panic, you get the fight or flight response, and you actually create endorphins, and adrenaline starts pumping that you actually don't know what you're sort of thinking sometimes, because you're in such a state that your body really wants to react, and it is an innate reaction that you will speak before you think. So this is why they sort of create this waiting game. So in comes a detective, Steve Flores. Love this guy, amazing. He actually went through horrific family issues during this trial.
Let me get you a bottle of water.
So the handcuffs come off, so let's see how she responds to that. Barefoot, as far as I'm aware, too.
It'll probably be put in your property.
I love this guy.
Yeah, I can wait.
I'm gonna turn the heat up in here. Or like, do you have a sweater I can borrow or something?
Okay, so she just said that she'd like the heat turned up because she's quite cold. That's part of her adrenaline surging, that there is an increased blood flow, which cools down the body. And at the same time, she would actually feel quite flushed in the face as well, but she's actually feeling cold. So that's actually part of it as well, because if you're cold, you start shivering, and that's then the adrenaline starts to sort of pump as well. And that creates a part of that innate response that they're hoping to get from her. Thankfully, they do actually finally get what they need, and she does go to jail, but getting there is actually quite a journey. We'll only do small sections of this, guys, because I could do all of these tapes, and there's 4 tapes, but we'll just do a couple of small snippets. And I know that the start of this first one is just some beautiful, beautiful work.
These photos, I'll see if I can turn it off. It's hard to control the heat in this building. That's fine.
Sure I don't lock myself in here. So you remember me?
Of course I do.
So that's her
I
first sign
traveled
of
all
birth.
the way up here to come talk to you.
So she had fled this state.
Because, you know, I've been working on Travis's case ever since it happened. Okay, and I know exactly.
So her stance here is one of intense interest. So she's sitting towards Flores. So Flores is actually sitting back at the table. He's not reciprocating that movement, which is what he is supposed to do. Like the way he's sitting right now is open, and comforting. He's got his legs spread, he's got his elbows on his knees, and he's just sort of fiddling with something in his hand, probably paperwork, something that we can see just off camera. But she's sort of rubbing the back of her neck, which is a sexually suggestive sign as well. You know, she's leaning forward, she's giving her best angle with her hair flicked back and all of that. So She's going in with sex appeal, and he's coming in as, you know, middle-aged dad. So I would have loved to have seen him get a bit more forceful with her, but he does play a good role here.
Happened when he was killed. I know a lot of details, and just recently we found quite a bit of evidence, and I'll discuss that with you. The main thing that I'm looking for, though, is answers on why certain things happened, why they went so far, and also to get your statements.
Okay.
A lot of details on this case that haven't been released to the public, and not even to Travis's family. And those details are known only by us and the person who did it. Okay, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, is because I believe that you know some of these details. And I think you can help us.
I would love to help you in any way that I can.
Okay.
Okay, so she's shown compliance.
Because we're here at the police department, the sheriff's department here in, was it Siskiyou County?
Siskiyou.
That's what it's called? Okay. And you're considered under arrest or detained. You're not free to go. And I'm a police officer. I have to read you your rights.
So he's been quite
I'm sure
gentle,
you've heard him on TV.
and she's actually responding in kind.
I have to.
What the Bible says, and yes, I'm Christian. I just live my life by the 10 Commandments, and those are my rules. Da, 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 da.
Oh, 10 Commandments, except for thou shalt not
this
kill.
or that, but it doesn't say thou shalt not fornicate. So I just used to joke about that, and it's a bad philosophy. I think that with Travis, there was a part of me that felt really guilty, because there was something inside that thought you're this is nice for instant gratification, but you're destroying what you could have with Travis, and that's why we did pray about it. I remember we knelt by his bed once, and
Okay, those that know my podcast know my love of religion being used as an excuse in any crimes or for any sort of rehabilitation. My opinion, it differs to other people's, of course. We all have our own opinions. But she's now actually trying to play that card. So she's saying, we prayed about it because, I like to have sex and things like that. And he was a Mormon, and all of this, it's just going to come into play. She's now sitting back as well because the sitting forward sort of didn't enamor Detective Flores as much as she had hoped it would. She's trying to go for the sex appeal, the innocent church girl who's got a bit of a kink, and he's coming at it as, you're my suspect, and I've got to play this, and I'm not going to play at your game.
And surprisingly, he suggested it. Normally, I would suggest that we pray before we go on a trip, or before we eat if we're alone.
It was kind of unusual for him, huh?
Yeah, because he was very resistant to prayer with me. I mean, I think in church it would have been fine, and I feel that maybe because.
So now she's playing the role of I was a better Christian than he was. Not that he was a Christian, he was a Mormon. So so she's trying to combat that she was better at religion than he was, and yet later that will actually change around again. But we're actually focusing on her and her body language. So let's continue. Let me find something else. So Flores has actually left the room at this point and come back. Now he's bringing photos with him, and bless his heart how he tries to censor them, because they are actually quite graphic photos of Jodi herself. But as you can see, head on her hands, this is a comfort position. She thinks that she's winning at this point. She thinks that she's walking out of there a free woman to never talk to Detective Flores again at this point.
These are just a few photos, and I want to be careful not showing you certain photos.
Please
because
don't
some
show
of
me.
them are very bad. That's obviously Travis's house, right? Remember that?
Now see how far forward she sits. Now most people would actually just pull that towards them. So her leaning forward is her trying to be sexually suggestive. Not to, you know,
Travis
it's not a
right here today,
flirtation,
he
but
would
it's
tell you
just
that
about
if it wasn't me.
her trying to
My job
get him on
is to
side.
speak for Travis right now, and everything Travis is telling me is that Jodi did this to me. Have you ever shot that 25 auto?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever touched it?
The one that was stolen? I've never seen it.
Talking about stolen gun. Surprise, surprise. Gun she had access to had been stolen. So he's going to show her photos to try and get a innate response from her, something that's guttural. So that's the last photo of Travis Alexander alive that he's just showing her. If you actually go to my website, amandahoward.com.au, you can actually see these photos. Now she showed no response there. So her face is slightly flushed.
See is this is
Travis would never go for that.
soon after you and him
I've got two dogs in here
had
helping.
sex on his bed.
Oh, there he goes. So now he's showing her pictures of Travis naked in bed, and she's just said, "Oh, he wouldn't go for that."
2 hours.
Really not believe that he's next going to show her the pictures of herself on the same bed the same day. I mean, it's about seeing these benchmarks for lying. So he's trying to get her response to things that shock her to then see how she reacts when she gets shocked. So yeah, so the next picture that he's going to show her is of her sort of leaning forward.
That's you. I wanted to cover you up because
Oh,
that's you. All of you.
that looks like me.
That's you. Right there, get out of my face.
See how she hasn't tried to move that paper? And now she does.
Look at the rest of it if you want. There's a few of those. There's a few more.
So she just did that just to
Try not
confirm
to
there's
show
the
because
I like how on camera we get to see it on this side. It is blurred out, so they have done that.
let's just say I've seen all of you,
God love him.
and I've seen all of Travis. But the one that sticks in my mind of Travis is
Gonna get out the picture of him dead in the bottom of the shower.
I'm not going to show you that. Or should I?
So she's now, he asked her, does she want us to have the picture?
This
And
one
she
I
just
don't
sort of
know
gave
if
her
I
a shrug
show
with her
you,
hand.
but nothing bad. Too bad. But it's just one of the photos that was taken by accident.
See, that was the big curly
This is
question.
just a small portion of it.
He hasn't moved. But had we a better camera, we would have seen
It's
it.
your foot, Jodi.
So
These
this
are
is
your
sort of her
pants.
leading in the shower.
Now, it's off color because we had to enhance it, and the color kind of changes a little bit. Let's try this.
This is his bathroom.
And now she's trying to cry.
That is not my foot.
So that's her first official denial of the case.
It's a different color, like I said, because we had to enhance it, and the color changes. The zipper back.
I have both of those pants at home. If these are the same one. I don't have a zipper there though. Not on mine. And this is a black stripe and this is white. and
Amazing how
black is
she's
around the
quick to
corner.
make all these assumptions of changes because she knows exactly what she was wearing that night, and it's quite easy to say, oh, but that can't be there because it doesn't have a zipper here. You would look at a pair of black pants and go, if they're a pair of black pants, anyone could have been wearing those. But no, she's going, doesn't have this, doesn't go there, doesn't do this, doesn't do that. So that's the interesting
This
part.
is another one that's just a copy. But it's
Her
you.
hand over her forehead is a sign of deep disbelief.
Everything.
It's,
First
you know,
picture
it's,
of you and Travis.
you know, oh my God kind of thing.
Do you have any recent cuts that are healing?
Well, my cat scratches me. Little things. These are all her work. You can see. This is her. That's her. I've got scars. She's a feral cat. All these little things are her.
Well, enough about your cat, but why is your paw print in blood?
How can that be my palm print?
Because you were there.
Now he's getting closer because now he's getting serious. He wants her to feel the heat of him getting closer. So this is sort of a very slow cat and mouse.
Way anyone else could have left your paw print in blood on that wall.
Can you see how their positions have
No
changed?
way.
He's now got his
Keep that to your hand.
arms on the table crossed and sitting forward, and she's sitting slightly further back. So the closer he's gotten, the further she sort of sit back. And this will sort of continue a bit further.
You know, you'd planned this out perfectly. Maybe you were going there to just talk to him, have a good time with him. Something got out of hand.
Even if I were there, and even if I were going there to just have a good time with him.
What if I tell you somebody saw you there? A neighbor. Do you remember some of the neighbors?
Just
Who know
Dave.
you? The next door neighbor?
Mhm.
And his wife?
I don't know his wife.
Okay. What about some of the neighbors across the street?
No, I've never met them.
No. But you've hung around there quite a bit and they know you.
Mhm.
Yeah, they've seen you there on that day.
I wasn't there that day.
Jodi, you were there that day.
I love that. So it sort of flows on. So this is almost like calling bluff, and it comes to a point that you can deny their supposed evidence because he's just sort of throwing things out there. And yeah, he might have this evidence, he might not. And if you say no to this and then it's found out that someone has actually come forward and has that evidence to provide photos, you know, cameras from across the street or something like that, then it shows you that you've said a lie. So she has two choices here. It's to lie and say, I wasn't there, you know, it's wrong, and call his bluff. Or his bluff actually works by her going, oh, well, if they have the evidence, you know, if I lie now, they're not going to trust my truths later that are actually going to be bigger lies. So she took the route most people do, and that was the lie straight up.
And even if I'm trying to think, the majority of the time that I spent there, I had platinum blonde hair. So, I mean, I've never once said hi to them, met them, shook their hand, met them face to face, across the street. When I spent time there, he wanted to keep it private, so it was, I spent the majority of my time inside. Not, you know, walking around outside. Except for a few times when I took his dog for a walk.
Would they see your car
Never
there?
outside, Bart.
Or would you park it down the street?
No, they would see it there. I drove an Infinity. So they would definitely recognize the car, I'm sure. Well, there were a lot of cars there a lot of the time.
Where's the
So
Infinity
this
now?
lie has then turned into a truth. So she knew it was better to back up on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to find any evidence in that car?
You're free to look.
We're going to look.
You can also look in the rental car.
So what she's also done there was to provide extra evidence. This is about truth stacking. So she's actually saying, you know, you're not going to find anything because I'm innocent, and you know, I'll even provide you with more stuff for you to check to prove that, you know, I've got nothing to hide. It's pretty typical ploy.
Rented from?
I don't remember, but I can check my debit card record. I remember the make and model.
Well, we're waiting for it anyway, but you know all the new cars have GPSs in them.
Oh.
Factory.
I love that. Oh, this is brilliant. This is an oh shit moment. You know how I love those gotcha moments. This is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to find any evidence in that car?
You're free to look.
We're going to look.
You can also look in the rental car.
What company did you rent it from?
I don't remember, but I can check my debit card record.
Okay. cars have GPSs in them.
Love that. Love that. Love that.
Not for you to
Well, then that's
use,
good.
I mean, they're almost
But
whispering.
for
It's so quiet. This is on maximum volume.
us to use if we need to.
Well, then that's good, because I was also going to ask you, I don't know
It's extremely
if this is
passive aggressive
something
on
that
both sides.
you can recall, but a lot of the stoplights in Mesa and things have cameras on them. Is there any way we could back that up? Or, you know, if I were going to Phoenix, going through that tunnel, is that surveillance?
No.
Is there surveillance anywhere?
Unless you ran a red line. Unless you got caught on a speed camera. But nothing beats that stuff. And I have a solid case against you. And I can present it to the judge. As cold as it is now. I don't know why she did it. Or I can present it to the judge with your explanation,
Bargaining time now.
with your parents' explanation.
What do you mean?
Have you
by
talked to your
parents?
parents about what happened?
I told them I was worried about stuff.
About what stuff?
I said that, well, they knew I was upset about Travis, and I feel really bad by the way I was acting, because there wasn't.
Oh, it felt really bad, by the
especially
way.
toward- I was upset about Travis, and I feel really bad by the way I was acting, because there wasn't, especially toward my grandparents. There were a lot of times.
Why are they not surprised that you're sitting here talking to me about this?
What do you mean?
They're not surprised. They're
Well, because-
concerned. They're
Have you talked to them?
hurt. I haven't, but my other detectives have. And they're very concerned with you. But they kind of suspected that you had something to do with Travis's death as well. Whose
No.
parents think
No.
that?
That's because I told them that a lot of people were dropping my name, and I said I'm not worried about it because I didn't do it. I said, but it's hurting my reputation right now, and it's.
So
casting
she's
me
not
in a
actually
bad
going
light.
for self-preservation, but talking about the that she's innocent and moving forward. Like, does he not realize that he's ruining her chances of her
Well,
future life?
But my
He's not,
reputation will
because he's
affect
thinking
the
about
rest.
her going to jail next week. And she will actually continue to bring up her future and photography jobs and stuff like this. So
You're
he's
gonna
seeing that
continue with
she's
the story
absolutely
then that
oblivious to
you
all
were
of
to
this, and she
Mesa
thinks that she's
or
going to
you
blink her
were
eye,
in Travis's house,
bat
you
her
didn't
eyes
have
and get
sex
out
with
of
him.
this. So let's see what else we have. I've skipped to the fourth interview now. It's 2 and 3, a female officer who questions Jodi. She spends more time talking than letting Jodi talk. So it's not great telltale. Now, as we can see in this video, Jodi's now in orange prison scrubs. So there is a big reality check that's actually come for her about her guilt and innocence and how she's going to play this forward. So now we will see more of that that self-preservation that she needs to actually go for.
We drove to his house, but Deanna was there waiting for him for some reason to visit or something, and he was so scared that she would see him in my car that I practically had to keep the car rolling and kick him as I drove by his house. And he's like, don't even put it in park, just roll up real quick. And he jumped
So
out to the
this is
door and
about
he's
her
like, go, go, go.
saying about her
So
life being
I'm like,
amazing.
and
with,
I just kind of laughed at that.
Travis.
That was August 18th.
You tell me this, but you give me no reason.
They didn't discuss much. They just argued
About what?
about whether or not to kill me.
For what reason?
Because
So this is her story of the two killers that come in to kill Travis
Travis's
Alexander and
Yeah, but I
her.
didn't really witness it. Didn't see much. Just,
But this is all fake.
I just oh.
You need to make this believable because it is not believable to me right now. You need to give me something.
Okay. I just
And
listen.
she bargains.
I am listening,
Yeah,
Jodi.
I
I
know,
am listening,
I'm
and
just
it doesn't
saying-
make any sense to me.
It's fine because my family will.
Well, help us protect your family. If that's the case.
See, she's got her hands between her thighs. This is about
They got the
shrinking that size
my
again.
driver's license. It has a PO box on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they got
Thank
my
you, voice.
registration out
Great
of
act.
my purse, which was in the purse that I was using at the time. And it has my parents' address on it.
Why why would they do this? You see where I'm coming from? Why? What kind of beef did they have with him? Or was it with you? Or you need to make this believable. People just don't go in somewhere
with her hair, she's
and kill
grooming.
somebody for no reason and then let a witness go.
It proves that her mind is elsewhere, that she's not
You've already
actually
killed one
focusing
person,
as
why not
much
just
as
take
she
her?
really should be.
Well, yeah,
You know who they are if you're
They're
telling me
literally
the
grooming.
truth.
I don't know them.
Then I don't believe you either. And I can't. You can't expect me to.
Here's what
I
happened.
want to.
Fetal position,
I wasn't planning on going to Travis's house.
even
I was gonna
smaller
go to Santa
position
Cruz.
now.
Well, I wasn't even planning to go to Santa Cruz. I was going to go to Monterey, but by the time I called Matt, he's like,
That's
we're in
right.
Santa Cruz, meet us here. And I said, okay. So I went to the Red Room there, just a little kind of hangout for the locals. So the younger kids our age, sort of 20-somethings and 30-somethings. And I stayed the night in Monterey that night. Got up the next morning and visited with Daryl and his son before he went to school.
No reason anybody would go after him. Nothing. So what you're telling me about 2 people coming in, or however many people coming in and taking care of him and letting you go, just so far-fetched. I can't believe it. Why would they do this to him? What were they arguing about? What did they say? Their details.
They didn't say a lot. They were white Americans, from what I could tell. They had
They said she didn't go for the scraggly black man, which is what a lot of white female victims.
They're like beanies, but they cover your whole face. They've got like holes for your nose and
Like Barbara.
your mouth. Like, maybe I will just go see Travis briefly. And I called Ryan and said, my phone was about to die. And I tried getting hold of Matt. I got his voicemail. I was going to ask him if my charger was there and if he could save it or mail it or something.
But he does let her go on tangent.
So I had
You
a
forgot
wall
what she
charger,
was up
I
to in the
think, and I
story.
was just going to charge it later, I guess, when I got somewhere. Anyway, I did call Travis and I said, guess what? And he said, what? I said, I'm coming to Arizona tonight. And there was silence, and he goes, really? And I said, yeah. Well, what made you change your mind? And I just said,
This is true, this section.
because I think I just told him I missed him or something. But I
how
would have
it
said,
is
because you're too
flows.
compelling, but like, he's already got a big enough head and that stuff. So I showed up, and he
That's a
was
toilet
watching
you can
YouTube
hear on camera.
on his computer, on
Not
his
mine.
laptop in the
On the
office.
video.
We watched that for a little while, and he was very happy to see me. Napoleon barked.
Yeah,
He always
we're
barks when
lying.
somebody walks in, and then Napoleon was really
Not.
happy to see me. He gets so excited, his whole body jiggles.
Yeah.
And I just do this thing to his butt where you just kind of push him on the side, and he goes around in circles over and over and over until he realizes, hey, stop putting me in circles. So it was a good reunion.
Grooming herself
and-
because she feels good.
And we went. I mean, I told him I was tired. I think because I don't know what his intentions were, or what he thought my intentions were at the time, like if we were going to do anything. But I was very exhausted from the trip, and I just said, like, I think I'm just going to sleep for a little while. And he said, that's fine. So I had slept pretty well the day before, but I was tired from driving all night, so I slept, and he slept, and we must have slept till about.
Now it's gone.
In the afternoon?
Thankfully the top
Must have
stopped
been
now.
around then. His roommate was home when I got there. I didn't never see his roommate though, so I think I was asleep by the time he thought I'd been left. Okay, if you don't believe me, that's okay.
I'm trying to. I'm trying.
I'm just saying
really
that,
hard.
you know,
Yeah, she's gone
it
back
sounds
to
to me like
the actual question.
like I'm already in the system, pretty far in. And I'm not getting out anytime soon. And as long as the rap falls on me, I think that
It's not good. Don't do this.
No, I'm just saying. I think that as long as that is, there's there's less of a chance that my little brother is going to be hurt, or my mom, or my dad, or my sister that live there.
Okay, we'll continue with the story.
Anyway.
About 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we had sex a couple of times. Once was in his bed, and once was again downstairs in his office. And I don't know what he was looking at.
Yep, something's happened there.
I brought for him. But he has a virus on his computer, so when you click the start menu on Windows XP or newer, 2000 or whatever, you have like my music, my pictures, my computer.
Yeah.
You can usually click on my computer and then go to the disk drive and open that. You'd click the Windows and it would come up, but none of those my this music, computers, picture, or whatever, none of that would come up. So he had some kind of virus that he was dealing with. And then his screensaver was a bunch of little bugs eating up his screen. It was just weird. And he said that was from the virus too. I was like, that's a cute screensaver. He's like, yeah, it's my stupid virus. So, for some reason that was frustrating for both of us because we couldn't look at the pictures. And they were from a lot of our church history trips, which are on my other external drive, which I haven't been able to access for a long since after Christmas because it just quit. And I just haven't had the money to spend to get all that stuff back.
Now she's talking about buying camera equipment.
Yeah, we had 3 discs, I think.
So it's amazing how she goes off on these tangents and she doesn't keep to the story.
Is this now? You guys are messing with the computer.
I don't really remember. It was after we had done
A couple hours or
yeah.
an hour or
No, she
something?
needs to get to her
maybe
to, I think, about 5 o'clock.
afternoon. I just, he had been cleaning his house. No. And I was like, I just have an idea. I have a couple ideas. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, I have this, I saw this thing in a Calvin Klein ad once that looked really good. And so he was, you're right, he wasn't very comfortable at first. He's standing there and he's all, I feel gay.
He has that look on his face, though.
So some I deleted and some I kept taking. And some he looked really good, I thought. The one that you showed me yesterday of him looking right at you, I think that's a great picture. He hates it. I don't know what he hates about that.
Yeah, it's the photo that's used about him for almost everything.
So you were taking pictures and showing them?
Yeah. He's all, let me see, chilling. His shower door was open, and his water pressure in that shower isn't that great.
And no longer
it's
wrapped
not like
around
water's
her
going
arm.
everywhere.
She's sort of relaxing a little. So, I mean, she's just hugged herself again and curled up into a ball. But she felt relaxed, and now he's sort
He
of...
was kneeling down in the shower. I don't remember him. If this is his shower and the sink is over here, I was like right here taking pictures. And I don't really know what happened after that exactly, except I think he was shot.
Where were you?
If this is his shower and he's sitting here, I was like, well, if this is his shower and he's sitting here, I was like right here on my knees, and his bathtub was right here, and I was taking him here, and I was just going through the pictures, and I heard this loud ring. And I don't really remember except Travis was screaming. I think I got knocked out, but I don't think I was out long. I know I got knocked in the head, and I've gotten knocked in the head once by my dad when he was just really mad, and it wasn't like, actually he didn't knock me in the head, he just pushed me against the wall, and I hit my head, and I fell. But in this case, I think it was similar because he was screaming, and I was by the bathtub, and he was holding his head.
This is all probably true,
and there were
but
2 people there, and
there's those parts about the 2 intruders.
What'd you say?
If she's grabbing the table, she's trying to ground herself. That is something that happens when people are trying to tell an elaborate story. They ground themselves, so they often have more than one part of their body on the ground, because she's actually curled up on the chair. She's actually got both feet on the chair as a grounding, but now both hands as well are holding onto the side of the chair. So this is about her trying to find that physical support that she feels that she needs to continue with this story that's just a complete fairy tale.
I remember putting my hand on his back because he was on all four of his knees.
And guess where the bloody handprint come from? This is the sort of stuff that Flores will be thinking, you know. She's just proven how this bloody handprint's done. Whether she's done this accidentally and not realize that she's just given a big part of the evidence, or if this is just her trying to add the narrative to what he already knows.
He was like on his knees like this, doing something like this or something like, I don't know. And I was like, are you okay? What's going on? What's going on? He's like, go get help, go get help. And I said, okay. And I turned around. There were two people there. One was a guy and one was a girl.
This is a sign. Her body language now is a sign of helplessness. This is when someone's in a corner. This is burying your head, and this is her trying to block out what's happened. It's probably the reality that she knows has happened, and she's actually seeing it quite vividly. And so this is someone's response when they're resigned to what's actually happened. When we do Chris Watts, which is one that I'm dying to do because I just went through the tape of him entering the house, and there's so many telltale signs. It's amazing. But this is one of those signs. So just imagine how you feel when you put your head down like that. It's a sign of resignation.
I couldn't tell that at first, but I could just see one was a girl, and I assumed the other was a guy because their build, and then their voices.
Oh, she forgot about the voices, but before she said they didn't speak. So, you know.
I remember they were wearing like maybe jeans.
Like, that's important.
What did they say?
One was in all black, one was in jeans.
Did they say anything?
Now she's adding details.
Yeah, the girl wanted to kill me too.
What did she say?
Like,
What words did you hear? What phrases?
who is that? Who is that? I thought he was by himself or alone or something, and he was like, shut up, just finish it. And Travis was screaming the whole time. He wasn't screaming like a girl, he was just like,
So she's talking
like
about that
he was
she's
in
putting
pain,
his
like he
hand on
was,
him
like,
like a
shocked,
calming
like,
thing.
oh,
This is what
you
she's
know.
yelling and screaming.
He wasn't really moving though, he was just staying kind of still on the floor.
Then what happened?
Well, as soon as he said go get help, and I turned around, and they were there, and
Where were they?
they were in the bathroom.
Where?
Now, before she was showing where he was, where she was, how the floor plan is set out, where she was standing, that she was kneeling, that he was moving this way, he had his legs this way, all of that. Now, these two people, they were in the bathroom.
Bathroom, not in the hallway or in the bathroom?
The girl was in the hallway, kind of.
They said now not in the bathroom, in the hallway.
And the guy was more toward in the bedroom, but like still.
And he's in the bedroom.
On the tile carpet.
You know, so.
Okay.
And
She's calming now, see her knees have
he
dropped.
started coming in toward the bathroom too, and
What'd you do? What happened?
Now he's sitting back very nonchalant, so he's not showing any responses of any
What happened, Jodi?
sorts of sympathy or empathy towards what she's
What did
going
you
through.
see?
I took it out like a little bitch.
He took off?
When people cry,
I ran.
and it's real
And he
emotion,
stopped
they
me
don't
when he
like there's times that we do try and hide it. Like I tried doing a video this afternoon for something else. I just
He was
something
a-
got me. But that hide their faces
he
to
was
cry
still
like that.
conscious.
It's
and
about
still
trying to get it
alive.
to all
You
happen.
just left them there.
No, I ran into the closet because there's 2 doors and they were sort of in the hallway already. And he stopped me and he didn't touch me. He was just held the gun to my head and he was like, "You don't go anywhere." And he told,
It's the same people
told
do
the other
speak,
girl to finish it.
and that she thinks
Didn't see.
one's a boy and one's a girl because
but
of their voices. So you know.
He was like, I didn't think he was saying a lot. But
Yeah, it's hard to recall a conversation that didn't happen.
What happened?
he told me to stay there and not to move.
And where was that, in the closet?
No, it was
He's trying to confuse her with the
sorry.
So she needs to draw it because this actually creates object permanence. So if he draws this or she draws this, but like she wanted to do, so he's going to draw it more accurately. And this will help her keep her story straight. If you're saying, oh, he's there, when you want to know where he was to recall it a second time, it's going to be on paper. So this object permanence part sort of helps to keep a story straight. So this is why they don't usually go for this, but because she was going to do it, he's drawing it to make sure it's more accurate. So she can't warp the story to match a map that she's going to draw poorly.
Yes, exactly. And so his closet is
Well, she's left-handed.
this way. So I ran this way because he was walking this way and she was already right here.
So now she's drawing her story.
And then he stopped me here and he said, "Don't move."
Yeah, when she was talking about where she was and
And,
Travis was before, she was quite happily to
Travis
do that
is here.
physically.
Or somewhere whereabouts. And he left the room for a minute. And I didn't have my stupid phone because it wasn't charged.
That's
And Travis's phone was downstairs and I didn't know his roommates I didn't think were home at the time. So, like, I was just trying to think if there's any way I could call 911 or call or get out of the house. There's no way out except down the stairs. His windows they're 2 stories for one, and they were hard to get to. He had stuff here and blinds and screens and window coverings and, from the outside. And I just, she was over him.
She's easily
and
able
I just
to
rushed
do
her and I
she's
pushed her.
Now, and so this
And
helps create the false narrative. And one, he's got evidence of what she's going to show. But 2, he now
Travis
has
was bleeding
evidence
everywhere.
of how they can prove there was not 2 people in there because they'd be able to find a footprint of blood or whatever. So this sort of
been shot at this time.
goes both ways. It's a lose-lose.
I was.
Let me see.
So she's claiming that she has a small injury from where she was attacked by the 2 intruders. And look how close he has to look to try and see something. And she's actually like,
This one here, right here. Yeah, right on the crease.
Oh, there's a vein on this one, maybe. I don't know.
now she doesn't even know where this injury was, this great injury that she had from being pistol whipped or
This a small one?
some BS.
Or was it pretty deep?
I don't know how deep it was, but my finger hurt for a while.
Okay.
But she
So
can't
like
remember
right in
which
that
finger,
crease,
she can't remember where the injury was.
Right. Across both of them?
Not my middle finger. It cut this one a little, but not as much. This is where it really went. I don't know how it happened that all these other fingers were missed, but this one, maybe that, I don't know. This one, like I still can't close this finger all the way. It's this close. It's hard to get paper in there, so I can keep writing stuff.
Did you take some paper with you? Where'd you put it?
Right here in my pants.
Did you write anything on it?
No, you want to see it?
Yeah.
She stole some paper.
Hey Chris, could you maybe just pick up a copy of that? I'll send it to you.
Because if she wrote it, check on the notepad. It's just showing a power dynamic here. They're actually gone to her. So yeah, you're a prisoner.
So
So
I can stick it
holding
in
the cuffs while she does
in your
it.
pocket if it'll stay there. You stand up for me. Put your hands out in front of you. Do the belly check.
Just a reminder of what he's going to face from now on. Part of the perp walk, I love it. Make it tricky, make it tight, make it uncomfortable.
Is it little?
Jodi, we're gonna let you go ahead and keep this.
Thank you.
Go ahead and turn around, please.
You are.
Okay. You ready to go?
I think so.
So I hope that you have enjoyed this. It's just a little bit on Jodi Arias. There is probably a lot more that we could do, but without actually going through and finding all of the timestamps that we did for the podcast. It's just good to have a little bit of an overview of different parts of her demeanor, how she told lies, how she told truths, and how she tried to mix them both, and using things like the drawing to help prompt lies. So I've got dogs here. They just love being with mummy wherever she is, which is weird for me to talk about things like that while I'm talking about Jodi Arias and murder. But yeah, so I hope that you like this one, guys. This was a request on the podcast Facebook page, which is Monsters Who Murder Serial Killer Confessions group. I think if you look up on Facebook, MWM Confessions, you'll find us. There is a page and a group. Join the group. It's very active. If you're a Patreon subscriber, which you can join at www.patreon.com/MWM Confessions. There you can see our different tiers, and things like this actually are used for Patreon as well. They get it months before the general public do. And what else is there? There is the free Facebook page. We also have Twitter. We also have TikTok, also have multiple different things. Look up Monsters Who Murder, look up Amanda Howard, look up the Serial Killer Whisperer. You'll find me under any of those terms. I'm quite easy to find. I'm around. I adore Facebook. I spend most of my life on Facebook because besides me and the pets, I don't have much more talking to do around the world. So this is usually where I do talk. As I said, I apologize for the very bland background, but this is actually in preparation for what we are doing for the podcast in season 14. I think we're actually about to go into. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of changes. We're doing a lot on camera as well as podcast. I'm working on a couple more books. There's lots of things happening. And so I do hope that you like this. I do hope that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. I'd love to know what other cases you'd love for me to do. The pets are fighting behind me now. Just let me know other cases. I think the next one I'm doing is Brian David Mitchell, who was the kidnapper of Elizabeth Smart, purely because that interrogation is so well done. The FBI agent and the sheriff that conducted that interview are amazing. Gets a little bit dicey. Some of it I think could actually go under charges of assault, but we will do that one another time. I was hoping to get it done tonight, but I've spent many hours putting together this Jodi Arias tape. It's going to end up being quite short, I think. But I just wanted to sort of go through some bits and pieces, but I just get engrossed watching interrogations. Is what I love to do. It's primary source material. It doesn't have to be the truth, but it has to be the story, and part of the story is what they don't say. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you are subscribed. I think it's this side. I hope you'll give a thumbs up. I hope that you'll give a comment. Let me know what other cases you'd love for me to do, especially if there's some out there that are quite outrageous. I know that there's a few where the killers, I mean, I should probably do Charles Manson because that body language is different, because it's not the expected language, the expected movements that you would expect to see. So interpreting what he's saying and doing, and facial expressions and body language and tics and everything are very different to what you would expect of a normal person. Not that he's not normal, but he's not abnormal, but Manson is in a category of his own. My dogs are getting a bit sort of rowdy behind me now, so I better finish up. Again, please subscribe, please like, please share, please do what you need to, and I will see you in the next episode if I don't see you on Facebook before. So thank you and see you next time. Bye.